And do you believe you can do anything? But what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?
Hello and welcome back to another video. So as you can see, we have the FE3 engine out of the car again because I finally convinced myself to get back to work on the rear pickup oil pan. Now it's kind of windy today, so please just bear with me, but I'm not the smartest guy, so fabricating things really takes all my concentration. I need to get all my ducks in a row, or force all my ducks in a row. I swear I have ADHD or something. I don't know, but focusing on one thing while we have a million other things going on is a difficult task in its own. That's blown up, that's broken, and this, well, where do I even start? Like I said, I have been getting to work on the new oil pan, but before I show you the progress on that, I mentioned in the previous video that I did a road trip over the weekend to go pick up the new wheels for the Mazda Benz. And all I can say is, damn.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
I was super excited to get the wheels onto the car, so I gave them a quick clean and got them on there, but unfortunately, as most things, they don't really fit. Seems like the offset is very different on these new 18-inch wheels. So up in the front, we have the tire rubbing up against the shock, so that's a problem. And then when you look at the back, we have the same problem as on the M104 turbo racer Benz. The wheels are underneath the body, so they are tucked in there, and I don't really like the look. But these wheels look so freaking good, I just have to make them work. So yesterday I already got started on some wheel spacers. So I got some raw 40mm aluminium cut out and took it over to the spacer place. The guy that makes my spacers, we made some huge spacers for the Ford as well to get started on some wheel spacers to bring out the tires in the rear, and then also we'll make some smaller ones for the front, or just maybe like 20mm. I don't know yet, we'll still get to that. And then these wheels are second hand. I'm not a rich guy, so we still need a tire for this rim because this wheel met a pothole, and unfortunately in this case the pothole won. And even more good news is that I finally found a driver's side window, so we can get that in there and finally close up the car so that it doesn't get as dusty inside anymore. While I was grabbing the window at the junkyard, I also managed to grab the left side door strips as well as this little guy. So this little piece that goes in like this was the cause that I couldn't finish the suspension on the Mazda Benz, but now that we have that, we can finish it and be done with it. So this is just for the front suspension, so that if you turn the front wheels, this just helps it move around, and without that, I don't think you'll be able to turn. So now that we have that little piece, we can finish up the suspension. Freaking finally. I think let's do the suspension, get that done, and then get that window in there, and then we'll move on and get back to work on the oil pan. So I'm gonna get started on the right side. So I already got the shock out of there because, like I mentioned before, I forgot to put in the bump stop. So we'll get that in there, just like that. And then this little ring that I found, get that over there, and the rubber. There we go. Now just to tighten this one up. And then we can release these and we should be good. One. One down, one to go. It might not seem like a big deal, but getting the window in there and working just makes me very happy. Now just to add some buttons, some wiring once we get to that, and we'll have working electric windows. Now back to that oil pan that I have been working on in the meantime. So when the engine was still in the car, I did some measuring, finding out exactly all the clearances so that I know how big or how tall the oil pan needs to be. And then I started off by making a very simple template out of some cardboard, just so that I can wrap my head around how the hell I'm gonna make this thing. Don't look over there yet, look over here. So the oil pan is going to be 30 millimeters tall, so this is where the steering rack is going to go, and then behind the steering rack it ramps up to 120 millimeters. So I'm pretty sure it will be able to hold at least 5 liters of oil. Now that we have a rough idea on the shape, so I needed a 20 millimeter strip by 1.25 meters long, so I went ahead and got a piece cut out of that aluminium sheet that I have, and then I started bending it on my little homemade bender. This took a while. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm slow or what, but I have about 6 hours into what we have here. Like I said, I bent all these so that it fits the shape of the flange, so the oil pan flange. So over there is where the oil pickup connects onto the engine, so we have to have a little bubble over there and then get all the other bends. After bending it, I also cut this piece out, so now we have space for the steering rack, and then also this piece at the back has a little bit of a slope to it so that it doesn't hit the gearbox. Once we throw this back on the engine and start test fitting everything, you guys will understand why that is. And then I do need to relocate the oil pickup, but I don't have this size tubing right now. And then we need to get an oil drain plug to be able to drain the oil. And then lastly, we have the oil return for the turbo. Oh, and I need to figure out how we'll add this dipstick. Speaking of oil return lines, I don't know if I forgot to mention this, but of course the Maserati Benz is getting a turbo. Not this little turbo, a bigger one for all the boost. Anyway, it's super windy today, but I'm very stoked on the new wheels. Imagine if I could just paint the car, how much better it would look. But the wheels alone gave the car a much better look already. I'm very stoked on that. We'll get there. Unfortunately, that's all we'll have time for in this week's video. I hope you guys like the new wheels. And like always, I appreciate you guys tuning in, following the progress on the Maserati Benz build. And then I'll see you next week Sunday at 6 a.m.